Gang, I may have just read the best comic I'm going to read 2025. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, come hang out. I love talking about great books and great comics. And of course, this is John's Comics with Kids. This is a book not for kids, though. We're talking about Exquisite Corpses by James Tynion the Fourth. Gang, I'm ready to say this is going to make my best of 2025 list, and it may crush to the top. It's just possible. This book is that entertaining, that exciting. I know it's an issue one. I try not to overhype issue ones because there's a lot of pressure on these books, and what they end up being could be vastly different from what you get in that first comic. This happens a ton. But something about James Tynion the Fourth's idea here, something about the concept of this book and the execution tells me this is going to be something special. So if you haven't grabbed a copy, if you haven't checked it out yet, first up, I'm going to say grab one. I'm going to get into some light spoilers here. I'm not going to ruin the book for you. It's just an issue one. I'm just going to give you a sense of the plot, the dynamic, and some of the visuals that you would get in this book. But you should check it out. I highly recommend it. This is going on my pull list, and I rarely have indies on my pull list these days. Usually what I'm doing is reading an issue one and waiting for a trade. But this is not the case here. Exquisite Corpses is going on my pull list. I'm all in on this book. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's get into the concept here. First off, we've got the cover. Let's talk about this great cover. There's several character covers for this series. This one in particular highlights one of the villain characters or one of the assassins here. The concept is that this small town is being invaded by a cadre of killers. The book does a very good job of kind of subtly setting up this small town vibe and a sheriff who's taking a major bribe and ditching out of town. And why? Because the 13 most wealthy and powerful families who control the United States and maybe the world have a regular, every few years competition. One of them, who has won the previous time, hosts it and finds a small town that they can subject to their whims. And the other ones pick a champion and send them into this town till there's just one left. And that's how they determine the winner. So these assassins are basically going to have free reign. Nobody's going to tell them no. They're going to be kept within the boundaries of the space that's been designated by the winner from the previous time through. And they're going to go crazy. The interesting concept here is that every one of these rich families who's picked their champion draws a card at random with a different weapon, kind of in the vein of Clue, who got the wrench and the rope and all these kinds of things. So each one of these hardcore killers has some sort of weapon of choice, whether it's a gun, a poison, a rope. There's a little kid there, teenage gamer, who's got like electrical tools. Of course, there's more raw things like swords and hammers and things like that as well. It gets wild. And this first issue just gives you a glimpse into these hardcore assassins. And here are the 12 of them, right? We spend most of our time with the gentleman in the middle there. That's the lone gunman. He seems to be a character that we might have a little more hope for, that might actually be somebody awesome. Inversely, we have a few that are a little creepier. We see the Fox Mask Killer and the Rascal Randy Rabbit, who's supposed to use his hands. Both of them definitely are getting a lot of fun play in these great covers that you're seeing for the book. But definitely some curious things with some of these bad villains here that we're going to be seeing. But I also wanted to highlight the normal people in this city, because what I also think they do a great job of is getting us a sense of these poor victims and what they might be like if your town went through something like this, whether you're just trying to find a babysitter so you can work at this job that you hate because the owner doesn't understand that this is the weekend and you're not supposed to be working, but you're getting forced to work. There's some very relatable kind of dynamics happening here. The conspiracy theorist who works in the quick stop downtown, people on the run from these killers who stumble upon them, and the noble paramedic who in the issue seems to be doing their job despite being warned by the fleeing sheriff that this is not a night you should stay in town. So many interesting dynamics at play here. The concept is fascinating. The way they lay out the different families vying for power, and the game, the sort of Squid Gamesy type thing that's going on here, Hunger Games like activity, and how they're all going to be watching it and betting on it and these kinds of things. So it has a fun vibe related to similar maybe media that you've seen before. The artwork is very strong here. I think it's very dynamic and interesting. These character designs are fantastic. And I was just hooked. I was hooked with the normal everyday life characters. I was interested in these hardcore killers. I was interested in the infighting between these 13 families. So all of it really hooked me. And I think it moved at a brisk pace. For $4.99, this book is a double-sized comic. It's massive. And there's a ton of story here. I'm giving you just the barest bones of the concept here, but lots of comic. You're getting a ton for your $5. And I really felt like I was not bored. It had no pacing issues. It had a very curious, interesting beginning with the quick stop gentleman and the sheriff having a conversation, and then it spirals into some other people in town, and intersperses them with these families choosing their champions and their card. What weapon do they give their champion? Very kind of fun cutaway and cut back to the different storylines that are playing out. And then, of course, it builds from that opening scene with the quick stop to a final scene with the quick stop that I thought was really interesting, and a moment of choice for some characters that I think you makes you wonder, what will they choose, what will they do. So yeah, great comic. I think something really fantastic that I highly recommend you check out. If you are an indie comic fan, a James Tynion fan, a Tynion fan, you should absolutely be even more motivated, and you probably already have it in your collection, but take it out. Read that book, because I think you'll absolutely be impressed. I have high hopes for this series and where it might go. I look forward to kind of seeing what happens next for sure. Shout out to the channel members, people keeping the lights on over here, helping me snag those fun variants and get those books signed that I can send out each month in the subscriber or channel member giveaway. I hugely am thankful for these people supporting me, and I hope you have the chance to hit the like and subscribe and hang out with us. We do live streams pretty regular on this channel, so you can be in the chat and give us your thoughts if you don't want to leave them here on the comments on this video. But I appreciate hearing from you. That's the best thing that you can do to hang out with us and join the comic book community and get in on all the fun chats. Thanks everybody for coming by. Leave me your thoughts on the book, and I'll see you again soon.